What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. We are going to be continuing on our series on the Advanced Blog and CMS. So I have been reading all of your comments. I have read your emails. I have read your GitHub issues. I have read your tweets. I have read all of the various ways that you guys have contacted me. I am grateful for you guys reaching out to me with feedback on the series. And I think I have a very good understanding now of the interest in the series and of what you guys are looking for and stuff like that. So I am going to try to do kind of the original plan of the series, since that is what everyone is looking for. And I also think one of the things I learned from kind of this change or this announcement was that the people interested in this series are definitely a different portion of my subscriber base than everybody else on this channel. So there's everyone else that's part of this channel. They're just looking for kind of tutorials to learn tidbits here and there, and they want to be able to see a video where they can learn, something new and then move on and do whatever. And so it seems like the more loyal subscribers here are really trying to learn and kind of use me as a mentor or almost have an internship from me type of thing, where they can learn and watch me work and take that feedback to expand and grow their careers. So I think I understand that now, and I didn't understand that before. So knowing that, I think we will go through and we will continue to do this as originally planned. We'll continue to do the series as we originally planned. We'll keep it more casual. I'm going to spend less time editing because, again, it seems like the people really interested in this channel, in this series in particular, aren't as concerned about the specifics of getting it edited and perfect and stuff like that. So, and you guys are also all interested in watching me make mistakes, which is, I guess, a good thing. It kind of, can make you self-conscious sometime when you're teaching and you're making mistakes on screen, but I can go ahead and embrace that because I think it's something that you guys want to be able to learn from. So I understand all of that, and so I think that's good. So just letting you guys know that that's what we're going to be doing from now on. I have heard your guys' feedback, and we will continue as planned. You will start seeing more of other content on the channel that will be a little more polished and edited and stuff like that. And I really have a lot of intention on enhancing a lot of that stuff. So you'll see that continue to play out, and then I'll be just continuing this series as well. So don't worry that one is going to mistake the other. I actually think it's really cool that I can have multiple types of series. So let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. Today's episode is actually going to kind of bridge the gap between another video I put up on the channel today about building an accordion menu with no dependencies. Okay, so we talked about how to build a menu without using a framework or anything like that, no dependencies or jQuery, anything like that. And we want to now incorporate that into this project. Okay, and the reason we want to do that is basically, as you can see here, we have these submenus like this, and I want to be able to close and open them. So on the admin page, we're going to eventually have tons of stuff on the side. And so I want to be able to condense these menus up. And so like this roles and permissions, which has these submenus in it, I'm going to want to condense that up. And so that's basically an accordion menu. And so we're going to basically combine the code we learned in the other video with this video today. So you may want to go back and watch that video to understand what we're doing here. But anyway, I'm really proud of that video. I think that video turned out really good. I really liked doing it. It was a lot of fun. I want to do more videos that are similar to that, in that it doesn't require like tons of, it's kind of like its own video. I want to do more videos that are like that, where it's like you can learn, you watch from start to finish that one video and you learned something, right? You built a little project. And then I like doing the big projects too, but I kind of want to kind of do both. And so it's kind of fun to have a project like that where when I was done, you guys could start and then finish the video and have something done. Whereas a lot of these times, these Laravel projects aren't as conducive to large project or to small like tidbit things. They're larger projects. And so it was kind of cool to just have something kind of like small like that, bite size. I enjoyed it. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the project. So to do that, we're just going to be creating that menu. That's all we're doing today. So to do that, let's see, it's obviously going to be in our JavaScript and Sass there. we're basically going to be incorporating what we built in that video. Let's go ahead and take a look at the navigation. Now this is the side navigation, that side menu that's on the admin portion. It's only in the admin. And so you can see that this right here, this list item, is the one that has the submenu. So this first anchor tag is basically the title button, and then this unordered list is the is like the submenu. Okay, so similar to the last video, we're actually going to this is basically like the button that we created in the last video, and then this is basically like that submenu container thing the unordered list is. So it's actually structured very similar. So this is going to be pretty easy to incorporate with what we did in the last video. Okay, so we need to take this. Let's give this a class. We're going to say has submenu to indicate that it has it relates to another item. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of the anchor tag. We don't want the anchor tag because we want it to be able to click on it and it opens and closes. We don't want it to go somewhere, so we don't want a tag. We don't want a link anymore. Okay, so there we go. We're going to do that. Now for this unordered list, let's give this a class as well so we can identify it. We're just going to say submenu. Okay, just like that. So now we go over to our CSS, or our SAS in our case, and let's go to our manage.scss and grab our submenu. And here we're going to, just like we did in the previous video, we're going to grab the max height, set it equal to 0, so that way it's closed. And then I'm trying to think what else. I think that's all we would need to do. Let's go look at it, I guess. Refresh. Oh, we need to set the overflow property. Okay, so let's set that. Overflow hidden. And let's try it again. Okay, it doesn't toggle, but it's hidden. Okay, so that's good. Just for the sake of today's video, let's copy a couple of these list items so we have more than one of them. This is just going to make it easier to make sure it works. Eventually, as we grow the application, there will definitely be more of them, but I just want to jump, kind of see a couple of these other ones. And okay, just like that. Okay, so let's take a look again over here. So there we go. We have these other ones. We do seem to have something going on here. Let's take a look at this. What's going on? Oh, we got some height issues here. Okay, let's try this again. So we have this unordered list is actually seems to have a margin. It has a 0.7 EM margin all the way around it. So that is causing that gap. So even though we shrunk the height of it to 0, it still has its margin. So we'd have to get rid of the margin as well in order for this to fit appropriately, which makes sense because when you have it open, you want that gap so that the content isn't right up against the this item. So you want that gap, but we don't really want it in this case. So what we're going to do is let's go back to our CSS, and then we're going to let's add our margin of 0. Okay, it doesn't seem to be adding it. It doesn't seem to be taking for some reason. I think it's just because this is more explicit. So what we're going to do is just grab this. I don't want to be messing around with important tags and stuff. It's a really bad idea to mess around with important tags. Whenever you're coding, try to not, when I'm talking about an important tag, is like a lot of people, this probably would have solved it, but a lot of people will be like, oh, that didn't work, so let me just add an important tag. This is the biggest mistake web developers can make. The biggest mistake. Try to never, ever use the important tags. It will cause more problems than it causes good. You're better off spending the extra 5 seconds to just do it differently without the important tag and make it work, like I'm about to do, than you are to slap the important tag on, because you're going to have so many more problems down the road. Important tags cause so many problems that are so difficult to diagnose. And often the easiest way to diagnose them is to add another important tag to whatever you're trying to fix. And I've seen people just fall into this trap where like they tried to fix something, they didn't want to actually do it right, so they added the important tag to just make it important and to override it. And then down the road they tried to do something, well, that important tag they added a while ago is messing now with what they're trying to do. So to solve what they're trying to do, they add another important tag, and it just spirals until they have important tags everywhere because nothing will work without the important tag. So try to just pretend like it doesn't exist. It's a tool that is only a last resort. Only a last resort. So what we're going to do instead is we're actually just going to target the same element that they had. So the way CSS works, if an item is more explicit than another item, it'll take precedence, right? Because it's cascading. So we had to use the more explicit version, which is this one. Okay, so we have margin 0. Now I don't think margin 0 is the best way to handle this. It will solve the problem immediately, but I think we're going to have some weird issues later. But because I think the content's going to slide in from the side and look weird. But we'll just leave it here and we can come back to it later. Okay, so now we've got that good. The margin or the Sass is good. Let's go now to the JavaScript and add the JavaScript. So here we do want another external JavaScript file. So let's go through and create a new JavaScript file that we can import. I want to call it, since we call the other one manage.css, I'm going to call this one manage.js. And then this will be for all of the admin JavaScript files. So that way we don't have to import them on the front end. And so there'll be a lot more JavaScript on the back end than on the front end. So it'll be kind of nice that we don't need to import all this, heavy stuff on the front end. We want the front end to be as fast and zippy as possible. The back end, the admins can load the extra scripts. It's not as big of a deal, but let's do it this way. So from here, let's go through and set up the accordion. So what we want to do is let's set up the accordions. And I'm going to use ECMAScript 2016 on this. And in the previous video, I was using ECMAScript 2015. So I'm trying to keep it a little more basic. So in this one, I'm going to do 2016. So that's why you'll see me use things like the constants. We'll see. I'll just letting you guys know that's why things will be maybe a little bit different. So document dot, we're going to get all of the, it was right there. Get elements by class name. Let's set the class name to has submenu. All right. So remember, we're grabbing all of these items which have a class of has submenu. We're not actually grabbing the submenu, just the buttons that you actually click, because we're setting up those click events. Okay, so that's good to go. We don't need to have semicolons. I'm trying to get out of the habit of doing semicolons since we don't need them in JavaScript, but it's just my PHP habits coming back. Okay, so now we need to set up a for loop, and we're going to set up accordions. And then from here, we're going to say accordions.onClick, and then we'll set up the click events, right? So we can go ahead and fat arrow function this, and then grab we're going to toggle class list, toggle, and we're going to add that isActive class. So the isActive class is basically what makes that large bar active. So this bar, that's what'll make it like the turquoise color. Okay, so we'll do isActive. That's a Bulma thing. Bulma uses isActive. Okay, and then we'll go through, and now we want to check to see if that submenu, what height it is. If it's 0, then we want to make it full height. If it's full height, then we want to make it 0, right? So we need to go ahead and grab that. So let's, we're going to call this submenu equals, and we will grab this dot next element sibling. And now we can have access to the submenu. So we'll say submenu dot style dot max height. So if it has that, then we know that the menu is open. We need to close it. And then next we will say else. And then this is going to be if the menu is closed. Perfect. So let's go ahead and do this here. So we can grab submenu.style.maxHeight and set that equal to null. Now, because we messed with the margin, we'll have to do that too. So let's go ahead and do that. Submenu.style.margin equals null. So we're setting the margin back to 0 so that we don't have those huge gaps. And then submenu.style.maxHeight. Now we're going to set the max height equal to the scroll height. Submenu.scrollHeight. And add those pixels. Again, we don't need. I'm trying to get out of the habit of it won't break. You can have semicolons. Just trying to get out of the habit. The cool kids don't use semicolons. So I want to be a cool kid, right? Just kidding. All right, so now we got to add the margins. So submenu.style.margin. Oh, we can just hard code this. So we'll just say 0.75 M. And there we go. Let's try it. Okay, check for errors. No JavaScript errors. That's a good sign. And let's click it. Okay, it's not a good sign when it doesn't work. We're not getting errors though, which is funky. Why are we not getting errors? Oh, we're not using view. Okay, so we're not getting errors. That's funky. Here, real quick, just check this. We're going to accordions. We just want to print out accordions is not defined. Did I? Oh, I spelled accordions wrong. Okay, accordions. Okay, you know what's going on is, I think this is what's going on. Did I forget to, I did. Okay, so we forgot to actually import any of the JavaScript we just wrote. So we wrote this new manage.js file, which is great and all, but we never, we didn't actually import it into our app.js file. So that's our problem, or one of our problems, who knows. Okay, require, this time we want to require manage.js. Okay, so there we go. Man, I'm tired. Struggling along today. Had to drink like this. I got rid of it already. Had to drink this big old Red Bull to survive today. I was up till like, let's see, we were playing like PUBG till 3 a.m. But I won 2 games. We played like, I don't know how many games we played, but we won 2 of them. So it was fun. Anyway, so I didn't get much sleep last night. Very tired. Ready to go back to bed. As soon as this is up, I'm going back to bed, guys. All right, so let's see. Now we're getting errors. So now at least that's a good step in the right direction. At least we can debug this. Cannot read property toggle of undefined. So that's not a good thing. So something's undefined. HTML element on click. It's funky. So something's undefined. The toggle? Did I spell something wrong? Class list? Camel case, is that right? Class list is supposed to be camel case, okay. This dot class list dot toggle. So it's saying that toggle doesn't work because, is it because of this is undefined? Accordions. Basically just want to check spelling is usually the problem for most of these. Oh, you know what? I think I know what the problem is. I bet it's this function. I bet you it's, yeah, this is the problem, I bet. I'm 99% sure. That's the problem. Okay. Okay, so cannot use fat arrow functions. Well, you can. So when you use arrow functions, it doesn't pass in the this property. So you have to be careful. Well, it does under very weird circumstances. So you have to be careful when you use the this thing. When you're using this, you got to be careful when you use this and you use arrow functions. So in our case, we're going to have to go use a normal function, a normal anonymous function like this. We can't use an arrow function because it doesn't appropriately handle the this keyword. So we didn't have access to this because it didn't get passed in. Yeah, so I should have caught that. I'm actually planning one of the videos that's going to be coming up on the channel that I wanted to do is about arrow functions in JavaScript. And I wanted to actually let you guys know about some of those weird things about arrow functions, because that's something that can catch people up all the time, is that arrow functions don't natively bind this object in the functions like a normal function does. And so that's one of the things you got to be careful of with arrow functions. So while they've got their perks, they got their bad sides too. So you got to be careful. So in this case, good old functions should solve the day. I think we're good to go then. Everything looked like it was working. The only thing that we want to add maybe is the transition. So the transition comes from the CSS. Oh, sorry, to finish the thought about the arrow functions, if you don't understand arrow functions, don't stress it. Just use normal anonymous functions. They will work in every single case. There are benefits to using the arrow functions. We will have a video on the channel in the next week or two about arrow functions, and you guys can learn more about arrow functions then, because that's actually something I've intended to do about, because it's something that trips a lot of people up, and I want to do videos about things that trip people up. Okay, so let's now add that transition. We're going to transition the margin. Well, let's transition the max height. You know, we could just transition everything. Let's just transition everything. 0.2 seconds. Ease in, out. And let's see how it works. Roll just like that, like a glove. All right, so now the only thing we're getting that's kind of weird before we're done is you can see that kind of side to side movement of this. See how that moves side to side? And as I said earlier, I suspected that might be the case. That's coming from the side-to-side margin. So that's why I was kind of nervous earlier about doing margin 0, is because this is also going to this is also going to affect the margins on either side, which is giving you that kind of weird diagonal effect. That diagonal effect is a personal pet peeve of mine. It drives me crazy. It's so easy to fix, and I'll show you how to fix it. A lot of people do get that diagonal effect because they'll be lazy and they'll just do margin 0. Okay, and so that it's so easy to fix. All you need to do is leave the left and right margin alone. Just animate the top and the bottom margin, and you'll be set. That's all you have to do. So let's do margin top 0, and then margin bottom 0 as well. Okay, these are easy things to fix. So margin top 0, margin bottom 0. Now in our JavaScript over here, we are going to have to, we can't just do margin by itself. We're going to have to do margin top, and then we're also going to want to do margin bottom. Like that. And then down here do the same thing. So we want to add our margin back on the top, and then we want to do the same one on the bottom. Okay, so we're leaving the side margins alone. They're always going to be there. The side margins are always going to be there. The side margins were not messing us up. It was the top and the bottom margins that were messing us up. So that's why we have to get rid of those. If we leave the ones on the side, we're going to get a nice clean up and down motion. We won't get that side to side motion. Okay, so let's try it. So now we come over here, we refresh. There we go. See how clean that is? Just gets you straight up, straight down. Looks really nice. Looks so good, actually. Okay, so I think that's everything we're going to do for today's video. I'm trying to think if there's anything further we want to do. I think this looks pretty darn good. Okay, so That's basically everything for today's video. So what we'll do in the next video is I'm going to, we're going to work on how to manage the menu more dynamically so that it automatically identifies the URL that we're at, and it will automatically set this isActive class to the menu item that we're on. So it's going to make it a lot more intuitive as we move throughout this. So right now when we refresh the page, even though we're on this manage/users, you would expect that this manage users is highlighted, right? To show that you're on that page. That doesn't work right now, but we will add that in the next video. That's going to be the goal of that video. And of course, if we're on like this page, this manage roles page, we would expect that not only is this highlighted when we load the page, but also that this submenu is open. Okay, and so those are the things we'll work on in the next video. The video after that, we're going to work on the menu again, but this time we're going to kind of restructure the menu. I'm going to change the positioning of the menu, and we're going to make it mobile friendly so that when we're on mobile, right now you can see it takes up half the screen. We want this to just go off screen, and then we want to be able to pull it on the screen, navigate, push it back off the screen. Okay, so that's what will be in 2 videos. So next video, we're going to set up that active navigation. The video after that, we're going to do mobile navigation. And this is all stuff that's going to just help make it a lot cleaner and easier to use. So we're going to be doing a lot more of the kind of casual videos like this, I think, that are just straight cuts. Not going to be as much editing. You guys will still get to see the process along the whole way. I'm not going to cut out the mistakes. That way you guys can see them and learn from them. These are all things I learned from reading your guys' comments. So thanks for being active parts of the community. Thanks for reaching out to me. I appreciate hearing your guys' feedback so I can provide the content that you guys are looking for. That's all I got for tonight. I am going to go to bed, rest up, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.